What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am BDLM, coming to you with my buddy J4Y on this nice little Wednesday evening. What's going on, buddy?
Not much. I actually have been growing out this little beard here for all those
Oh,
MP3
God.
listeners to see visually. I'm gonna grow out so much that they're gonna hear whenever I stroke it. It's just gonna be like an Everglade of
Wow, an Everglade.
I don't even know what an Everglade is. That probably showed right there. Uh, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, I guess we gotta start this thing off by kind of apologizing for a little mini hiatus. You needed your mental health week, and I needed more time to hit on girls at concession stands and movie theaters. So I think we both accomplished our goals
Yes.
over our little break, but we're back and swinging, and it's actually really nice we had this break because we've got 3 hero patches, which means that we can kind of do something a little interesting tonight instead of just starting from Shadow Demon and moving on. I'm sorry if you guys are Shadow Demon fans. We're actually going to hold off on him because the Lone Druid and Lycanthrope both got released, and because those heroes have so many similar threads, we thought, hey, let's talk about both those heroes at the same time and get some kind of compare contrast going, because there's also kind of another idea that I wanted to talk about in relation to those two heroes.
Yeah, pretty exciting topic. Woo!
Yes. So what do you think about these guys? I know I didn't leave you much there. I just just decided to stop talking. I do it from time to time.
Period.
Well, your remarks, sir. Anyway, have you what like experiences have you had with Lycanthrope? General.
With Lycanthrope, I played him in the lane when I did play him, which obviously I think it's certain that these heroes are really strong in the jungle, even from level 1 because they both have pets. But I guess I'll focus more on Lycanthrope, where he summons his 2 wolves. When do you want to go over these abilities? I guess I'll just say my general thing.
Well, yeah. I figured because we'll go over kind of like the things they have in common, and then we can go into the specifics for the heroes. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, even in the lane though, I mean, he just seems like a really, really awesome hero. Of course, I think I find him similar in the sense of like Beastmaster, where you really have to be, if you can micro your pets well enough, you could be a really annoying person. I mean, those wolves move really fast, and especially early on when no one has boots or just basic boots or anything, they can harass anyone, and they have so much health and so much damage that it's like they can almost keep people out of the lane just by themselves. So it's I don't know, it's pretty fun to mess around with him, and overall I'd say a fun hero to use. As far as Syllabear, I haven't had as much experience with him. I played him 1 game against AI, and
Of course. Did you win?
barely. It felt back and forth throughout that whole game. You were there.
You should have said barely and then winked.
Oh gosh.
Because there are gonna be
How
so
did I
many.
even not think
There are
about
gonna be
that?
so many bear jokes.
Barely. Picketing baskets. I don't know.
There you
I
go.
guess he's Yogi too. But yeah, no, he's an awesome hero. I really do like him, but he is kind of RNG. And when I say that, I mean, I guess it means random number generator, which doesn't make a lot of sense when I say it out like that. But what I mean by that is you have to get lucky with these procs your bear can get that essentially root someone. And if you don't get those to proc, then you're not nearly as good at killing people as you want to be, which is the kind of sad part. But besides that, he's still pretty fun to play.
Yeah, I mean, both these heroes, one thing that they have in common that I was kind of alluding to that I was going to mention earlier, is the fact that both these heroes don't have a lot of actual, like, quote-unquote abilities. They have activatables to give themselves passives and bonuses to just their attack damage and movement speed, etc. But the heroes themselves are little more than their pets and then attacking things. And it's really interesting, I think, that kind of in the past, especially in playing Heroes of the North, where both of these heroes had counterparts, I kind of really didn't like these heroes because, in part, just the way people played them, they just kind of ran around and farmed in the jungle, stuck to themselves to try and, just try and farm all game. They can come out 50-minute mark and fingers crossed, hopefully I can kill everyone and my team hasn't lost by now. And, they kind of just felt like really simple heroes, and they were just, there wasn't much to them. But I think it's kind of something you have to try and think about it a different way. Instead of thinking of these heroes as not having many things to do, being really simple, think of how you can sort of recomplicate those heroes, the things that you can do with them to make them more interesting and to optimize the abilities that they have.
I know we were going to go with that for Syllabear, but
Do you?
well, maybe a little bit.
Do you?
Do you? What
What if I don't know where I'm going with that?
then hopefully I'll lead you into it, and then you'll be like, oh yeah. No, that's definitely another good way to look at it. And like I said, both these heroes are, they have pets that you have to micro. So that right there adds a whole other layer than most heroes in the game. Just because, if you just are controlling one hero the whole time, it's really not so bad. You only have to think about his 4 abilities and what he has to do with them, and that's it. Whereas when you own the pets, your pets usually have abilities of some kind, and then you gotta get even more complicated out of that. That's why we were saying, like, here's like Chen and Enchantress where they can get neutral creeps. That gets really complicated really fast, especially Chen. If he has 3 of those things that have different abilities, and you have to tab through them and use their things, like, props to people that can just, their brains can manage to do that, because mine sure has trouble with it.
I got to play. I had a wonderful, fantastic day. Last week was my spring break, and actually I didn't get to do anything fun because I had so much work to do. So Monday, I was just like, forget it. I'm just going to play Dota all day. And I did, and it was beautiful. So I tried playing a Chen game, and it was just, like, he's one of those heroes I want to be able to get good at, but I can't. So, just going to leave that guy alone for now. But yeah, the other thing too, when you think of like heroes like Beastmaster, kudos to people that can play him too, because you're managing a hawk and then the boar, 2 different kind of pets too. So something to take interest to. I don't even know what that sort of sentence was trying to be. To take interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like, they are a little simpler than Chen and Enchantress in that sense. I mean, it is just their pet that has, and like I said, when I say they have abilities, the wolves really don't as much. They're more just really good auto attackers. And then and it's 2 of them. And then the bear, he has like a chance on hit to do something. And then he does have an activated ability. Why don't I get too specific? Because we're going to do it later.
Something.
he does something. And the bear has an ability called, I'm just going to say this one, Return. Where when you cast it, when he casts it, he teleports from wherever he is on the map to Syllabear, or the Lone Druid, sorry. I might keep calling him Syllabear too many times.
No, it's okay. I thought of a list of things that I'm just going to do, and everybody has to put up with. He will be known as Silly Bear.
Yes.
Accept it. I will also refer to both Lone Druid's ulti and Lycanthrope's ulti as Beast Mode, because A, I love Transformers, and B, Lil Wayne songs are okay in small doses.
Small dosages, yes.
So there you go. So let's talk about just the general kind of similarities these heroes both have. We mentioned they both can jungle. They both have pets. They both have passive abilities that just kind of increase their damage. I think one of the big differences between them is they both have abilities that will allow them to go into like beast mode, but both of those forms are kind of very different from one another.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Lycan, I kind of like think of him in 2 different ways. I think of Lycanthrope as once he hits 6, he's going to be kind of like similar to like a Night Stalker, where he's going to be really aggressive when, well, I'm saying when his ultimate's up. Not Night Stalker in that sense, but like they're really gank heavy during that time period, and they're really really good at it. Whereas I see Lone Druid more as kind of just a farm up, get really good at pushing bases, which is why actually I think we'll get into that later. But I think he'll get picked up somewhat often, but we'll have to see about that. But I don't think of him as much as like that ganker. And you're talking about the beast mode. His ultimate, he transforms from a ranged hero into a melee hero with more health, so he becomes kind of like this tank hero that just attacks a little bit faster, which I guess can be useful also when you're pushing bases, like I was saying, but more it's just to survive, because he is such a squishy little dude most of the time otherwise, so I don't know. I guess beast mode does make sense in the sense then, because he becomes a big bear.
Bear man, pig.
Well, yeah, he's not exactly not a bear. He's kind of like he is like a bear man pig. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I like it. Well, let's get into the move so we can feel
please,
okay
so I can
about.
Stop saying like, well, I don't want to say
he does this thing and there's stuff, and So let's start with our buddy Silly Bear. His first ability, summon Spirit Bear. Do you have like these in front of you so
I
we can go
do
back and
actually.
forth?
Yeah, let's do it this time. Let's do it that way.
Let's do it.
Let's do
All right,
it.
summon the Spirit Bear. Thank you for that. I think what's most notable about this ability is actually the cooldown on it, which is a constraint that's we typically only think about for ultimates. But the cooldown at rank 1 is 180 seconds, and at rank 4 it is 120 seconds. What this ability does is summons a bear that gets an increase in hit points as he levels up. He also gets more abilities as he levels up. Level 2, he gets an ability called Return, which you already talked about. Allows the bear to return right to Silverbear's side. Level 3, he gets Entangle, which is a 20% chance on hit to root someone in place and do a small amount of damage to them over time. And then at rank 4, he gets Demolish, which increases his spell resistance by 33% and also allows him to do bonus damage to towers. And his health scales from 1400 to 2700. And like we've been mentioning, this is a big part of playing Silbear. And something else that's important to note too is when the bear dies, it will do damage to Silbear. He takes 100 damage, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is at the really early stages of the game when you're actually having some trouble making it through the jungle.
It's 100 damage per level of the Spirit Bear. So at level
No.
4 of it, it's 400 damage to him.
There you go.
So it does scale a little bit into the game. 100.
Oh,
Yeah.
also,
Oh, pfft.
Also, the bear cannot attack outside of a certain range away from Silbear. It's a 1100 range, so you can't like send him into another lane or into the lane while you're in the jungle to try and kill heroes or kill creeps or vice versa. So something else that's kind of important to note.
Noted. Is it my turn?
I don't know. Do you want to talk about Spirit Bear?
I do a little bit. Thank
Well,
you.
go for it.
So the reason you're going into that cooldown, so it starts at a 3-minute cooldown. The main difference between him and basically most other pets, barring maybe Chen or something, is that he lasts until killed. So unlike other heroes or other heroes with pets, such as like Enigma, such as Lycanthrope, that can summon their pets, they have a limited duration. It's usually not that long. Maybe 20, 30 seconds at the most. But his, until he's killed. And obviously, as you saw or heard, he starts with 1,400 health. It goes to 2,700 with 33% spell resistance. He's another hero, and a strength hero, I would say at that. He's a beast, quite literally. And I'm trying not even to be funny here. These puns and stuff just keep coming up, and it's really dumb. And I have to say them, because if you don't say them, then, well, what good are you? But I think he really can become a really powerful force. Obviously, like I said, you can get this at level 1, and you can start in the jungle right away. Just because you have someone that has like 2 or 3 times your starting health taking the damage for you, that's doing damage. Like, that's pretty awesome. How many other heroes can do that? And then I was going with his other abilities, such as Return, Demolish, Entangle. Entangle is the one I was talking about, where chance on hit. It's 20%, I think you said. And it's 60 damage per second in the last 3 seconds. And 9 seconds on creeps. So if a creep gets entangled, I don't know why they'd be alive for 9 seconds, but if they are, they're going to take about 500 some damage from that root. But it's actually pretty decent damage. So that's like 180 just from a proc. And then also, of course, it roots the hero. So any hero that has a blink or something away has to wait until that wears off to escape. And I don't know. I think he's a pretty... Does it go through magic immunity?
I'm not sure, actually, to be honest.
I don't think it does.
Something to check.
I don't think it does, but the damage type is physical, actually. That is an interesting thing that the Dota On Demand laboratories will have to investigate and come back to with an answer.
The children we kidnap off the street don't do the research as fast as we'd like them to,
Seriously.
unfortunately. But also, kind of, it slipped my mind because it's just, it's already ingrained in there. It's not even something to mention out of the ordinary. But the Spirit Bear, by the way, has an inventory, can carry his own items, up to 6 items, just as a hero can. So in theory, you can have almost another hero. I mean, he doesn't have the stat scaling like other heroes have, where you get more health or damage for strength, or the attack speed and the armor from agility. So you're only going to really be putting armor, health regen, damage items onto this bear, but the fact that he can carry 5 damage items or tank items himself means that essentially you can farm double whatever any other hero in the game can potentially have as far as items are concerned.
Yeah, the possibility's there. If a game lasts that long, then
Likely no, but it's possible. We
it's
always think of like Animage as like the principal carry, the one that's can do it the best. But I wonder if you had a fully farmed Silver against a fully farmed Animage, who'd win that fight when you have your bear there that's completely bought out as well.
I don't know.
Things to try. But yeah, I think this is kind of a really neat thing to have to deal with. I mean, you can't attack from far away, like you mentioned, but this is something that you can scout with the bear. And because he has return, you can run him into dangerous situations and then just pop him back to your side. And it's not, a big deal. It's not like you have to worry about him maybe getting stunned out like Chen creeps, where some people will drop spells just to take them down. Being able to do that means that, okay, potentially this is 2 minutes that Silver is without a major source of his damage and his ability to jungle. So if you can kill this bear, especially on the early levels, if you can apply some pressure to Silver in the jungle, you can really hurt him if you're able to take out that bear.
Yeah, absolutely. As difficult as it is with when she has return, like a good player should be able to micro him well enough that he won't get himself killed unless he's like purposefully suiciding it because he wants to just summon a new one or for whatever reason. But a lot of cool tricks you can do with this bear, which is why I think he's so diverse and so interesting. For example, if you're jungling, your bear's getting low, but you don't want to go all the way to base, you just send the bear there, and then when he gets healed at the fountain, you just return him. And it's a really quick heal. You didn't lose any time. You could just go to the lane, do whatever you want, and come back. There he is, full health, ready to go. I've seen a couple of short little clips of people using the bear to block someone's path when they're trying to move away or run away. It's just blocking like you would with a hero or a creep or something. And there's so many things that you can do outside of just auto attacking with this bear that I think really makes him interesting. Of course, when you do auto attack, he's super strong at it and does the entangle and does that demolish, which we talked a lot about that Tiny in our one cast. I think it was last cast. About how good when he gets that Agumon, he's good at pushing because he does the extra tower damage. Well, this guy does extra tower damage too. He does 1.4 times that normal damage. So, while it doesn't sound like a lot from just a pet, when he uses your other abilities, which we'll get into, he actually does a decent amount of damage, which is pretty awesome.
The other thing as well is he has 2,700 health at rank 4, so you can actually get tower aggro on your bear and just soak it up too. So you're saving the creeps' lives, allowing them to do more damage, and so he's really a huge pushing force. Another thing too, I think this is what you may have been alluding to when we're talking about trying to make it complicated or making these heroes have more depth. There was actually a time in Heroes of New Earth where Wild Soul, the Silbear counterpart, was played as a mid hero. And he was against, it was either a Pudge. Was it Pudge? Who's the other hero I'm thinking of that might be? Who was the Silbear against? Oh, Marana was the other hero. And so basically, when the skill shots were thrown, the arrow or the hook from Pudge, he would recall the bear, or return the bear, right to his side, and it would take the hook or the arrow. And because it has so much health, it's really not that detrimental to have him take that hit for you and ensure that you can yourself get away.
Definitely.
And this is kind of what I wanted to kind of bring up. It's where you have these heroes that are sort of really simple. You can find ways of really taking advantage of the few abilities they have, and using the bear to scout for the rune when it's close to the rollover of the clock for it to spawn. Using the bear to take hits for Marana arrows and Pudge hooks. That's really where you can start to make these heroes really deep, rich, and interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's what I was getting to. And I mean, there's also some cool item builds you can go, but we'll get into that after we finish introducing the abilities. I think we've tapped out a little bit on the bear ability. Why don't you hop down to the second one? Or I'll hop down. I'm
go ahead.
Do it because I'm talking.
Well, fine.
And my voice brings all the boys to the yard. I don't know why I said that. I couldn't stop, though. All right. Second ability, Rabid. That is the name of the ability. And what it does, he creates an intense, combative fury in himself and his spirit bearer companion. So, essentially, it's 50 mana cost at all ranks, 30-second cooldown at all ranks, lasts 10 seconds, initially at least, and then it buffs both him and his bear when he casts. He doesn't have to target either of them, but he can only do it. It only affects them. He can't cast on an ally or something. And what it does is increase the attack speed by 10% and movement speed by 5% the first rank, and that goes all the way up to 40% attack speed and 20% movement speed. So this is kind of, now we're getting into what we were talking about before about how this bear can actually deal some damage as well as the hero. This ability really strong for him.
Yeah, I mean it's a ton of attack speed, which is really nice. It's good for proc items as well. Interesting to note that you can put things like Cranium Basher and Chrysalis on the bear and get those effects to proc. So getting the attack
Chrysalis
speed,
on the bear.
you could. I mean, it's just a damage item, so
God.
you're increasing it. Oh, it's beautiful. It's
I
beautiful.
want to see that now. I'll
Bring
show
it
you
later.
later. Anyways.
Excellent. But anyway, so you also get the movement speed, and as you were alluding to, I'm just going to kind of roll into the next ability with this because these are all pretty simple. Increasing the movement speed is big as well. I mean, you can actually sit without boots for quite a while on Silbear because you're also getting movement speed on your bear with synergy. His third ability is a passive. It adds 10 damage and movement speed on the Spirit Bear, and increases the rabid duration. And also increases your health while in true form, the ultimate that we are calling beast mode. So the nice thing about this is your rabid duration will go up to 40 seconds, which is also the cooldown on the ability. So once you get synergy to rank 4, you can actually keep rabid up all the time if you have the mana for it. And so because of this extra bonus movement speed between you and your bear, you can actually get along just fine without having to buy the boots right away. And it's something that you have to consider too when you're thinking about how to build items for this. And of course, we'll get into this later. You kind of have to buy items for you and your bear to start with in order to make it through the jungle and make your jungling experience the best it can be, and also to be able to help generate kills and push your lane. So he's a weird hero because he kind of starts off really slow and then will pick up as it goes along. So you might not really want to try and go for the boots real quick right off the bat, just because you're pressed for other items.
Yeah, and I mean I do like, I guess it's the last rank. It's 40 move speed. I mean that's almost a pair of boots just in an ability. So you put that on top of Rabid and a pair of boots per se on him. He's moving one of the fastest heroes on the map, I would have to assume, unless you're playing like Spirit Breaker with Boots of Travel or something crazy. Yeah, I mean, that's just insane. And that's kind of the reason how he sets up his kills, that with Entangling Roots, Like, he'll catch up to whoever he wants to, and then if he gets that lucky Bash or Entangling Root proc, then you can hold him in place and you'll really, track him down. So he's kind of different than a lot of other heroes in that sense. He doesn't like... do a big burst damage or do like a crazy slow or stun or something. He just keeps chasing you, and you're like, get off me, and you really can't. Because like example, let's say you're a hero that has a stun. Who do you use it on, the hero or the bear? I mean, like if you use on one, the other's still going to be chasing you, doing damage. It's just like so difficult to deal with him.
Yeah, I mean, Silbear might be doing more damage, but the bear is going to be the one that's going to entangle you. So do you ensure that you can get away and take more damage, or roll the dice with the entangle? Definitely. You just want to roll this into true form, then, buddy.
Let's get to beast mode. Beast mode. Subtitle Lone Druid. I don't know. That just. I don't write plays. All right. So it's an ultimate. That's a toggle. And it costs 25 mana to cast, and it has no cooldown, so you can keep switching in and out of this form at any time you wish. But it does have a cast time. It's a 2-second transformation time, actually, is what it's called, transformation time. So he turns into the bear form. That gives him, at the first rank, 250 bonus health and 4 bonus armor, and that goes up to 600 bonus health and 8 bonus armor. As well as the ability. He gains an ability called Battle Cry. which has like it's an 8-second duration. It's a 30-second cooldown, 50 mana cost, and it gives 20 up to 60 damage and 2 to 6 armor. So essentially, him and his bear affects both him and his bear if the bear's in range of the cast when he does it. They get a ton of damage and armor for 8 seconds, and they just beast mode quite literally. I mean, this is like part of it there. So like, I mean, this has so many good uses. Oh, also apparently you can. I wonder if that's true in Dota 2 because I'm reading this off the Dota 1 site. It says you can dodge stuns while transforming.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but that's pretty sick if you can.
Wow.
Also, interesting to note, you lose some movement speed when you go into the bear form too. It's just, I mean, you're getting the bonuses from your synergy and or from Rabid, so you're not gonna make you like so slow that it's unbearable, but it is important to note.
So essentially, this ultimate. I mean, at the last rank, if you have synergy maxed out, it's 1,000 bonus health, which is absurd. That is more health than most supports will ever get in a game. Really.
Yeah.
And you just get that bonus straight up. It's like, okay. And I mean, like, people have to, like, go back and forth and consider, like, well, what's really the use of this? You start as a ranged AGI. You're going to build probably damage items and agility items. So why are you going into a melee tank form? I mean, it does have, I don't know, it's got its uses, but it's definitely not a thing where, like, you should stay in it all the time kind of deal. I really feel like this is best used when you know a big fight's about to erupt right on top of you, and you're going to get focus fire. And sure enough, most of the time, he does get focus fire, because if you leave him alone in a team fight, he's going to kill everyone. I unless he has no farm, I can't see that going any other way.
Yeah, he gets quite brutal. I mean, the really cool thing about this too is if you do actually, well, let me start it this way. When we watched him being played in Heroes of New Earth, he like the ultimate was just skipped over, and you wouldn't get it until the last couple of levels, or until you realize that you needed to get tankier because of just the amount of damage that's coming in. But the neat thing about the true form is because of the fact that you get the battle cry for short duration fights, you can make up for whatever damage you may be lacking. If you're going for more of like a tanky build and you're maybe trying to look to stay in the bear form for longer, you can get the damage through the abilities, and so it's not necessarily, oh, I have to just go straight up agility items if that's how you want to play it. I mean, I think that's kind of the neat thing about Silbear's. He can both be this ranged agility that has the bear just to help him to perhaps add the entangle to root them in place so you can kill somebody, but you can also be this upfront tank that can actually do a fair amount of damage too.
Yeah, and this kind of, once again, goes hand in hand with pushing the base strategy, because not only is your bear super tanky, now you are as well, so you're not afraid to step up there with your bear and beat on the tower, because if they focus fire you, you're going to have at least 2,000 health, probably more, and you can take a couple hits, and by that time your team can help counter engage on them or whatever your team's going to be doing in the process. So I mean, it's so awesome because of how diverse you can play him and build him, and like the ways he can be used in these team fights. Like, you can just sit there in the back and be a ranged AGI and just do a ton of damage if you build that way, or you can go more of like a hybrid tanky build and be up front on the front lines doing the damage to the towers, taking the hits, and I mean, it's just can go so many ways. That's why I love him.
Yeah, this is really kind of random, but this is the other neat thing about the fact that this is a beta and we're getting a hero every week, is we get to relook at these heroes, because probably just from having seen it done in Han, I would never probably build Silbear thinking of him as, using the true form and staying in the bear form most of the time. But now that I'm rereading over all these abilities and thinking about different item builds you can go, which is where we're going to go next, the bear form is really attractive, and it can kind of influence you to go for certain items like Vladimir's offering, which are just really good, useful items to have anyway. So, influencing yourself to go for those types of items, I think, is just nice as well.
I can't say I think I've ever seen a Vladimir's built on in a high-level game.
No, me neither. But when you think about it, the Rabbit is actually, it's only the 50 mana cost, but you can use it every 40 seconds, and Silbear doesn't have a lot of intelligence or a lot of mana regen. Like, you're not going to be buying mana regeneration items per se. Going the Ring of Basilius and maybe even turning that into a Ring of Aquila or the Vladimir's Offering is, a possibility. It's something that I messed with against the AI and actually kind of like, to be honest. And then it's going to benefit you when you're in your true form. It's going to benefit your bear all the time. The armor and the mana regeneration for you. And then it's also going to be affecting creeps around you as well to help give you some extra push power. And then, of course, other heroes on your team. I mean, we've seen ranged supports pick up Vladimir's Offering just to be able to provide that aura. So being able to pick that up and just throw it on your bear, I think is pretty interesting to try out.
Oh, you're saying you put it on the bear?
Yeah.
Okay, that actually makes a little more sense. I was gonna say.
Well, I mean, it's an aura, so it doesn't particularly matter.
Yeah, but it could be kind of a wasted slot on Silbear himself. But that's a great thing. He's kind of almost like a little courier that's just walking around with an item like, hey, here's my aura guy. You could just turn him into an aura bot and just have all the auras on him, be like, come on guys, follow Silbear.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Assault Curious is a really strong item on him too, because it's affecting you and your bear, and you can throw it on your bear. And when you get attack speed items, especially on the bear, you're increasing the chances of you to proc the Entangle, which is really interesting. I think when we're talking about items to get, I think you kind of have to get Hand of Midas on Silbear because you have this potential to farm so much more than any other hero. You have to be able to facilitate that, take advantage of it. And so get the Hand of Midas, get yourself that bonus gold. And also, Silbear has kind of a rough time for the first 3 levels, like I mentioned earlier, 3 or 4 levels. So being able to pick up the Hand of Midas to make up for any slowness in those first couple levels is nice as well.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well go into this because I was going to kind of disagree on the Vladimir's. And the reason being, I was going to go into skill builds, generally, you'll see on him. So obviously, let's just say you're playing him as a jungler. That's the most common, popular way. Obviously, you can play him in the lane; he can be just fine. But let's just stick with the jungle for now. Obviously, level 1, you go your Spirit Bear, so you can actually be in the jungle. And then generally, what I've seen and what I've also done myself is you kind of pass over Rabid for a while. So you go back and forth between Spirit Bear and Synergy. And the reason being, obviously you always prioritize your Spirit Bear because he gains his new abilities, new health, gains so much stuff. It just makes sense to max that first. Synergy, it's just flat damage move speed. As well as, eventually will give you more Rabid duration. And that's the reason why I think Rabid's passed over until I don't know, maybe level 8 or something. It's just because if you get it right away, it's only a 10-second duration, and for a 30-second cooldown, it only gives 10% attack speed. It's really not that useful at 10-second duration rank 1. That's how I see it. I think, but as you put those points in Synergy, where it gives 10 more seconds each level, then even if it's at level 1, it still lasts 30 seconds when you have 2 points in Synergy. And it's okay, this is going to last a really long time, so it's actually worth casting now. And maybe that's more how it's viewed, but I guess that's kind of why I'm thinking it's not that great of an item, because the Ring of Basilius, is that right? God, sorry. I told you I'd be a little flaky on items, so I'm like, yes.
Back from our vacations, not on the ball.
I'll tell you, not at all on the ball. Actually, apparently pretty on the ball. Around the ball. So, I do like the armor from the ring, but the mana regen, he's only going to be summoning his bear until at least level 6, really, because he's not going to have the Rabid to cast in the jungle. So, I don't know. I don't really like it as much. But the interesting thing then, really quick, the recommended items. Well, I just want to say the first one, at least. They suggest you start with the
headdress.
Headdress. It's like, you start with...
Headdress?
Lied. Headdress, yeah. So, what are your thoughts on that as a first item?
I really like it. I spent way too much time. Last night I was up till 2:30, and I had to wake up at 6 for class. Yeah. I was trying a lot of different stuff. The thing I liked most before just breaking down and buying the recommended item was actually Tranquil Boots because it gives you health regen and armor regeneration. But the nice thing about Headdress is also very efficient for the amount of money you're spending. It's giving you the 3 health regeneration, which is 1 more than the ring itself gives you, I do believe, in an area. And it's also giving you an extra stat point because it's built with the Iron Branch, but when you buy the recipe, you're getting 2 stats total. So it's just really cost effective as an item, and it's applying it to you and your bear. What you're going to have to do to be effective in the jungle at the early levels is switch off between you and your bear tanking the creeps until the bear gets up to level 2 or 3. So having this affect you and the bear all the time is nice. I mean, something that you can also do if you don't want to get Headdress because you're like, I'm not going to turn it into anything, yada yada. If you like just hold out and try and get like a ring of health and just throw it on the bear, you can try and switch the item back between you and the bear depending on who needs it. But this is always going to affect the both of you. It's a little less micro for you to do, and it's just a fantastic item. And if you are looking to go for the ultimate heavy or a build that will take advantage of the ultimate more often than not, build a pipe. Get tankier. It's a fantastic item, and for you and your team. So, it's just to encourage you to go for a fantastic item like that too.
And like you even said before, you could even go mech. I mean, probably not going to on most carries like that. Although I wouldn't even consider him a hard carry, but even still, I guess it really depends how your team is kind of fleshing out and like who's getting what items. Like, if it's needed, I mean, I think you should have a mech on your team or try to, no matter what. And my voice just started crackling a little bit.
Go ahead and clear the throat, my friend.
No. That's how I clear my throat, by the way. Make really weird, like, gargoyle noises.
There you go.
But yeah, honestly, I guess really just trying to build for the team. But that's the great thing. You can just keep it for as long as you want and just leave it there. Because there's no rush to turn it into anything. You really just use it when you need to. And, like, you have it later. Like, okay, this can turn into a mech or a pipe. Which I know when we're actually pushing as a team and everything, it'll be really helpful. So it's not really a wasted item slot like other items could be interpreted as a waste. Like, for example, if you got like a buckler early on, and like, as the game progresses, that whatever, even if you turn it into like, was it Iron Shield or whatever, it's not really that great late game because you're blocking like 20 damage a hit or something. Like, in the late game, that's nothing. But
the Stout Shield. Buckler is actually the name of the part that goes into mechanism.
Well, Stout Shield is what I meant, and I'm glad
you
corrected me. We can't all hit bat 1,000, so I try to bat as close as I can to that. But any regard way, I liked it too, and that's the way I played him that first time. And yeah, like what you said, when you have to trade off between you and your bear, it makes so much sense. You're essentially gaining double the healing from that item than most people will gain from it just because you're trading off the damage. So both of you are healing at the same time. So yeah, definitely, I do like it. I don't know. Did you try the buckler Stout Shield? Did you try a build with the Stout Shield on him?
Everything
under the sun.
Everything. I did. I'm sorry, my throat's going too. I did try some stuff with it. I eventually though wound up getting the Headdress and then just picking up the Stout Shield. You can turn it into Vanguard again if you're going for a tankier build. You can also turn it into the what's the other thing I'm thinking of? Poor Man Shield.
Yeah.
It's just to have on you for if you want to go for the bear, it'll also help block some damage for you and just give you some extra agility, or just give you a little bit more durability as a ranged hero, which is always nice. And because it's so cheap, it's like it's not really a thing. But just trying to rely on the Headdress is not enough to keep your bear alive. Really, unless you're going to be like pooling for your your lane whenever it's available to do, you're not going to be able to just rely on the health regeneration of the Headdress. But like I said, I've tried a lot of different things, and there wasn't anything that wasn't effective. Like I did the Tranquil Boots, put Tranquil Boots on the bear, then tanked with Silbear, put the Tranquil Boots on the Silbear, and use the ability because it has a mana cost. The bear can't use it. Then hand the Tranquil Boots back to the bear, and the bear's so fast because he has the fastest boots in the game aside from bots that he's just entangling everyone. So it's viable if that's something you want to try out. The headdress is, I think, a good safe way to go. It doesn't require you to micro. And then, yeah, you can go into like the stout shield and try and go for something like Vanguard, or you can try something to rush for a ring of health so that you can just never really have to worry about the bear after that. A lot of different ways you can
I
go.
don't. I mean, I don't like a ring a health item for him. Basically, like a null stone, it really have to be an ability that really shuts him down, like a Beastmaster ult or something. Like otherwise, I really don't like that on him. Because, like I said, like mana regen on him's pretty worthless. Intelligence on him pretty worthless. Like
Well, I would think of going to
what?
Vanguard. I think of going to
Well, the
Vanguard.
Vanguard would be like the only way to I would consider it, but even
Hmm.
still, I'm okay. I'm not a huge fan of Vanguard in the first place, and I think it's
Yeah.
just if you're gonna buy the VIP booster, just go for a hard eventually. Just leave it as a VIP booster because, like I said, the blocking damage thing. Okay, early game that kind of helps, but later on, that 20 to 30 damage you're blocking is not cutting it. That's not helping you at all. So really, what are you gaining from turning it into that Vanguard in the mid to late game? Now, I think you personally just wasted money. But that's just my 2 cents as a very non-professional player. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, again, I think the really cool thing about talking about Silbear is, again, he's a very simple hero on paper, but because of the way that he was designed, there are so many different options. I think, like I was saying earlier, the only thing that I would say, like 100% always get on the Silbear, Hand of Midas, I think is something you just kind of have to go for to really kind of try and maximize potential. Interestingly enough, the bear can use Hand of Midas because it doesn't have a mana cost.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm just
Why
saying,
would
man.
well, okay.
Dude, you're getting ready to go into a team fight. The enemy team has a chin. You don't want to get stunned by the nice little stomp by the Minotaur. So what do? You run your bear in there, you hand him Midas the Minotaur, and then you return him back to you, and you're a pro. Boom. You're welcome.
Peace. Yeah.
Throw down the mic,
You should
walk
have seen
away.
that. I just did a cool little rap, like, fingers thing. It was
Fantastic.
cool. You had to be there. So, what was I going to say? Oh, another cool thing about Stream of Items, as you play the game, and normally the recommended items, are all the left side there when you go into your shop. Well, for this hero, there's your recommended items, and then there's bear recommended items, or I don't know if it says bear. It might say pet or dog or fish
Something.
head or I want a
There you
beer.
go.
Anyways,
Dogfish head.
yeah, that's why I was like, I want a beer. Yeah, so it has both recommended for you and your pet, which is so cool if they thought to do that. Like, it first of all gives away to the newer players right away. Oh, my bear can use items. That's cool. Like, who would just think of that
Yeah, that's true.
normally? And then the recommended item for the bear is the Orb of Venom, which blowed
Blowed your
blowed
mind.
my mind. Didn't even think. I haven't thought about that item in so long, just because it's some little 350 gold. It puts a poison dot that does 3 damage every second for 3 seconds. But then, I guess the part that makes it worth it is if the poison's not enough, is 12% melee slow or 4% range slow, depending on, I guess, if you're melee or ranged. So that on your bear is at 12% slow. Just adding on top of everything we talked about him, how he chases down heroes and that's how his fighting style is, slowing someone 12% is just another great addition to his kit, I think.
Yeah, no, I love it. And that's the cool thing, too, about just having a recommended page is that and the headdress I never would have thought of on my own.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they just like, oh, hey, you can try this crazy stuff out is really nice. And yeah, I would definitely get the Orb of Venom. It's so cheap. It's kind of like the Stout Shield thing. It's like, why wouldn't you get it when you can farm really well and you don't have to worry about item space so much? Go ahead and pick it up. And yeah, the slow means you're going to get more auto attacks in, which means you're going to have more chances to root them in place, and then it's going to keep them in range of your auto attacks as a ranged hero. It's going to allow you to catch up to them as a melee hero if you're using beast mode. So, I mean, we still have Lycanthrope to get to. That's the crazy part. And we've been going for quite a while now.
I know. This is going to be a little longer one. But
Oh yeah,
we're
but it's
overdue,
okay.
You know.
You out there deserve it because you were so patient and waiting a week and a day for this cast. So, boom. Let's just run through some.
No. I want to say one more thing about items.
No,
The most
no. I was gonna go through more on items. I was gonna say let's just like list off some some quick good items to pick up.
Go ahead.
No, go. No, you can. I'm just,
Well, my
time is of the essence, sir.
cool. No, it's not. Let's be here for 10 hours.
All
Whatever.
right, let's do it.
Work's overrated, anyways.
I don't need to go to
except I-
class.
no, you don't.
I don't have papers to write tonight.
Probably
Let's-
not. No.
Probably.
That you're not going to pay some guy at Home Depot for later. Essay.
I need you to write me an essay.
Yeah. Anyway, South Park reference. Hopefully, don't get sued. I don't know why we would. Anywho's.
Anywho.
So my favorite, not necessarily a troll, because I think I've seen it in Pro, is getting a radiance on your bear. And let me explain why I love the concept. And you,
Please
I know,
do.
disagree, so I'll go into it. So essentially, you should know what a radiance is by now, and if you don't, it's a sacred relic, which is, I believe, 60 damage by itself. It costs 3,300 gold.
38.
38?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they reduce that one of these days? Well, that's expensive. The point is, it's really expensive straight damage item. And then you buy the recipe, and it converts into a radiance, which I think it maintains the same damage, but now in an area around whoever's carrying the radiance, they get burned for a damage over time. So as long as someone's in that I don't know, was it like a 600 radius or something? It's a pretty
650.
Wow, it was so accurate. It was almost crazy.
Almost.
Also, why'd you have that right away? Anyways,
I'm the man.
You
That's
are
just what I do.
the man. The man. So, yeah, it's going to do that constant burning damage. And why I like it on Syllabear is because, first of all, A, he's super tank, usually more health than you have. B, he's faster than you. When you have Synergy leveled up all the way, it's 40 extra movement speed than you. Top that with Rabid. So he can chase people down, doing all this burn damage to people, and if he gets in too deep or he's about to go down, just use Return, and he's safe and sound. So he's just really in a nuisance. That's how I like to say it, a big nuisance in team fights, because he's going to chase these people around, doing it's reasonable damage as the fight progresses. If you're keeping on someone, it's going to add up over time. It might not seem like a lot, but it really is. And where was I going? Oh, the other really awesome thing about Radiance that doesn't get seen as much is that if people have Blink Daggers and you're taking Radiance burn damage, it resets the cooldown so you can't blink while you're under the effect of the Radiance damage. So essentially, if you can send your bear in to the back lines wherever you know if they have someone that has a Blink Dagger and keep them around them, they can't initiate on your team now because you're doing that burn damage. So it's another cool way to think about it.
Yeah, that's very true. The problem I have with it is just the amount of money that you have to sit on to get it. And I felt like they changed the Radiance Burn thing. Or they did something with Blink Dagger and Radiance Burn, I thought.
I
Which
don't think so.
I'm trying to do some quick research, but you know what? We'll leave that to you faithful viewers to keep us in line
Phone us
on.
in. Let us know what you think.
There you go.
Don't call me.
Because I played a game today, and there was an alchemist who got Radiance, and then he got bots at 30 minutes. And it was just, what do you do? Please explain to me what you do.
Alchemist. Really.
It's like, it's nice. It helps you farm, but the burn damage really starts to fall off as the game goes on. And so it's just like, yeah, it's nice for damage, but when you think about good bear stuff, think about good bear stuff, attack speed is so important because you're trying to proc the root. And so Radiance doesn't do anything for you for that. It's 5,150 gold towards not making the bear help you kill heroes as much. I mean, yeah, it's doing damage, and of course it'd be good against if you're trying to take out towers. But you're not getting the extra attacks in to be able to try and proc the root. So, I think I'd rather go for other items on him. One item that I really do like on the bear, Phase Boots. Allows you to unit walk, so you don't have to get those, because he's a fat bear. He's a little hefty. He needs to lose a couple, right? Yeah. So you can just use the phase to get through units to unit walk, so you don't have to worry about having to traverse the creeps and slow them down and stop from being able to keep your slow if you're getting the Orb of Venom, and then the chances to proc. But then other big items just that are somewhat common, I guess, on this crazy Lone Druid guy are the Maelstrom, upgrading that into Mjolnir. Sange and Yasha is another big one. Yes. Oh, Skull Basher, of course, too, is nice. No, sorry.
Yes.
It's a little bit of strength, which if you put it on the bear, it's like, it's a little wasted per se. But he can proc the bash, so that's something to keep in mind if you're interested in such craziness.
Oh, you stack him with Ogre Magi Bloodlust, and you
I'm
just go to town.
so happy you're still on
I
Ogre
can't
Magi.
stop thinking about him. Until him and Pitlord are in the game, I will never be truly content with this game.
There you go.
That's probably just a little personal page, but
Well, there you go.
probably. It was actually weird because the recommended boots for the bear were the power treads,
Yeah, I don't get
which
that.
doesn't make sense. I do like attack speed, but yeah, you're missing the attribute is completely worthless to him. So
Yeah.
phase boots are getting the full benefit of them.
Yeah, I really do like the phase boots better. I mean, yeah, you're not getting attack
It is more
speed, but-
micro intensive though, which is a problem for some people.
Yeah, but that's if you're playing a hero with so few abilities, I think it's something if you really are interested in the hero, that's just something that you kind of have to learn. And if you do learn it, there's a huge reward for it because being able to take advantage of those little things is really really strong. What other items? I mean, we've already said that the bear would get damage items. I'm trying to get through this because we still have so much to talk about.
Right?
If you're gonna put items on the bear, boom, attack speed, health regeneration, armor, damage. So like Chrysalis if you're crazy like I
It's too
am.
crazy.
Vanguard.
How
What
about
else am I
drums
thinking
of endurance?
MKB. Drums I like. I think this again depends. I think you could really say Bear's a tank and build like that. And I might have to play some legit games and try out some stuff where you don't treat him as a hard carry because that's typically how he's been seen. Because yeah, I think if you did go for sort of an aura type lone druid, you could be very successful. Increasing your movement speed, always fantastic. And then of course damage, attributes, keeping us on the lone druid himself on Silbear. I think a really nice item. Assault Curious, fantastic. It's a bajillion armor, so if your bear is getting focused and that's hurting you, then put it on the bear. And then of course, like Hood of Defiance too, can actually fully benefit the bear as well as Silbear himself. So there are a lot of items that you can cross over.
He doesn't need it as much because he gets that 33% innate
That's
spell
true.
resistance,
But there are definitely a lot of items that you can throw around. But like I said earlier, twice because it's so important. I think Hand of Midas must have.
I was gonna say give him a BKB, but he doesn't have the mana cost to use the mana.
That'd be hilarious.
A huge ass bear just walking through.
Okay, troll items. Let's see. Gotta go. There really aren't that many. I was trying to think of something like crazy.
Most things work well on him.
One way or another, because he could either be this hard carry.
I think Force
or the
Staff would
tank.
be pretty trolly.
Do
Although
Force
you can
Staff the bear in there so they can
I was gonna
bash?
say.
Oh, yes.
That's actually not. I mean, it is bad, but that's like saying Bloodseeker is good with a Force Staff because his ultimate can do more damage or something. Like I don't know. I feel it's a similar pathetic explanation of why it works, but
Yeah, it's been a while since we've encouraged such things, but if any of you listeners want to send us your like name or like the game ID so that we can like watch these and maybe bring them up. If you try some of these troll things we're talking about, it would make my day.
Well, that's
so
actually-
please
I was gonna say
play a
at the
game
end.
of Silbear and force staff your bear onto someone and have them root them first attack, and I will love you
I was
forever.
gonna say it at the end, but we're gonna say it now because you just want to do it in the middle of our cast.
I do.
But
Okay.
since now that we've been doing this on iTunes and a lot of people are listening, they can't see all these beautiful visuals we have on this beautiful screen. But we have a Twitter, we have a Facebook, and we have an IRC. All are Dota On Demand, so it's either at Dota On Demand, Facebook.com/Dota On Demand, or our IRC channel is pound Dota On Demand. We're always lonely in there, and we'd love to chat with people on occasion. But also, more importantly, I think, is our email, which is dotaondemand@gmail.com. That's where I want you guys, you listeners, or girls.
I will. Oh, sorry.
Or both. I don't know what you have down there. I don't really
Both.
care. It doesn't matter to me. That got really creepy. Send
Or
us an
do
email,
I care?
please, and let us know. There's so many things we'd love to hear from you about. Tell us what you got. If you want us to talk about something on one of our next casts, if, like he was saying, if you have this cool game you want us to kind of go over and see if we're interested, maybe we'll even do, because we do our breakdowns on the side, and who knows, maybe we'll do an analysis of your game if there's something interesting going on. If you want to tell us an idea you have for something, like anything. The sky's the limit.
We're lonely. Just talk to
Really,
us. Okay.
really, really lonely.
I already said I've been hitting on concession stand girls. Okay, so just anything you feel like talking about with us, it's
I was
fantastic. But
imagining
let's.
some creepy thing like, "What do you want on your hot dog, sir?"
Oh, wouldn't you like to know? Yeah, that was pretty good. I like that.
So that's
Malicious
our
and
little.
Sounds family
That was a
friendly.
little our intermission, if you will. You like that?
Do 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 do. Little elevator music and the transition
Um,
to.
to our other friend.
Yes. All right. I'll start off the Lycanthrope. Holy crap! We finally made
How
it.
long has it
Summon.
been? Like an hour already.
It's beautiful. We got to make up for weeks,
The
so it's
back
okay.
half I heard is just as good as the first. So
There you go. They're always, just across the board fantastic. Summon Wolves, the first ability, 125 mana cost, a 30-second cooldown, so not 180 seconds, important to note.
yes.
The duration on these Wolves is 55 seconds. They last longer than the cooldown. And basically what this does is similar to the bear, the abilities of these Wolves increase as they level up. So you get two just Wolves, rank 1. At level 2, they get Crit Strike, which is awesome. And then you get two Wolves that deal increased damage and the Crit Strike for level 3. And at level 4, they go invisible and get kind of the Ricky thing, where once they attack, they break the invisibility, and then shortly after that, they'll go back to being invisible. And this is just a fantastic thing. This is, again, where you can really take advantage of the few abilities you have to cast and use this to its full advantage. You can pull with the wolves. You can do the broodmother type thing once you get the wolves up to level 3 and 4. If you're in the lane, you can send your wolves into the jungle to clear out basic camps to get you extra gold on the side if you're feeling safe to do that. As I think you mentioned earlier, Jay, you can just straight up send the wolves at the person you're laning against if you're in the solo. We saw, or I saw, a Windrunner versus a Lycanthrope, and she just got absolutely destroyed by the wolves, having the Windrun available. And then, of course, once they hit level 4, you can use them as scouts. You can figure out where the other team is. You can check the Roshan pit. You can check the rune and deny the rune from other people, which is something you can't necessarily do with Silbear because the Silbear Spirit Bear has that thing where it can't attack outside the 1100 range. These wolves can attack at any time. They just have this lifetimer. So now that I've said everything possible about the wolves, you're welcome to try and add anything you want.
Did you mention they get critical strike?
I did.
Okay. Did you mention that they're fast?
No, actually,
They
I
are
didn't.
faster than you.
They are faster than you with boots. They're ridiculously fast.
That's why they're so good at harassing the lane, especially when they become invisible at that rank 4. Even like you're saying, if they can harass a Windrunner successfully, that's a win, because she is one of the hardest heroes to harass successfully, especially with that Windrunner when she's evasive and moves fast. Like, they can almost keep up with her when she does that. It's just ridiculous. And of course, they do have that crit chance, so they can do even more just insane damage. It's ridiculous. And they're not super tanky, but they do take a good punch. I think they have 600 or 700 health in the later ranks. So, not awful. Like, basic AoEs are only not going to kill them, basically, is a good way to put it. So, all around, really good. Like you said, they have diverse uses. You can use them in the jungle. You can use them to gank other lanes if you're that insane. Insane. But, I mean, and they do also synergize with your other moves, which, I'll just jump into it in the next one, because you did say pretty much everything under the sun, except for one thing. Go ahead.
I didn't. Like you mentioned with Silbear and being able to block the bear, in Heroes of Newerth again, there's a hero that's essentially the same thing. And because, again, you only have the wolves and then two other just basic abilities to use, you can just have your hero right-click on the hero you're going after, and then you can micro your wolves. And because they're so fast, you can run around somebody with the wolves, block them, get an attack or two in, then run around them again, and continually block them, and still be able to thread in auto attacks with the wolves. So you can really easily catch people off guard in the lane if you have those kinds of skills to pay the proverbial bills.
That was a wonderful little finish to Summon
I
Wolves.
loved it.
I'm going into Howl now, which is his second ability, which basically is a spell that is, it costs 15 mana, goes up to 30, so very cheap. It's a 50-second cooldown, but that goes down to 35 at the last rank. It's a global area of effect, so it doesn't matter where your wolves are on the map. And it's a 12-second duration, and what it does, it adds... Oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't only affect your wolves, it affects all your teammates as well, so not creeps, but heroes, in addition to your wolves.
Any allied... No, because you're terrible. It also affects any allied-controlled units.
Yes.
Yes.
So their pets as well, etc., etc. And what it does, it adds 20 bonus damage to heroes and only 4 damage to regular units, but that goes up to 50 bonus damage to heroes. Whoa, that's almost a sacred relic. And then 16 damage to units. So, obviously, really powerful moves. It is only a 35-second cooldown and 12-second duration at the last rank, so it's still obviously not very spammable or anything. It's going to be kind of in bursts, if you will. But another cool thing about this is your wolves, let's say they're down and there's like 5 seconds left on cooldown, but you want to cast your howl now. You can cast it, and then when you summon the wolves, if your howl's up, they gain that bonus damage until that duration's over too. So they don't have to be there. They don't have to be up and alive when you cast howl. You know, as long as that duration's still going, they're fine. But anyways, yeah. So obviously a cool move. Giving damage to global. So we're talking about global presences. Not too many heroes have them. But when you do get something like this really can help a gank in another lane. Very simply put, if you have a couple ranks in this, 20 or 30 bonus damage to the heroes ganking someone, that's a ton of damage coming out just from that.
Especially if you think of like Vengeful Spirit ganking too, when you can reduce the armor too, that's potentially a lot of damage. And then of course this is also going to allied units. So if you have the Beastmaster on your team, this is going towards his boar. It's going towards the minions that you summon with Necronomicon. There is a lot of potential here to be very good at pushing and also very good at killing Roshan, which he is very good at doing on his own.
Oh yeah,
going into Feral
mention him
Impulse,
and Syllabear being good at that.
Oh yeah. Syllabear, I've been trying to figure out like what's the earliest practical time to do it. I think like level 10. It's because he doesn't. The problem with Syllabear too. Oh god, this Syllabear, he just keeps coming back. He doesn't do as much damage because a lot of his stuff is towards being tanky and like movement speed. When we look at Feral Impulse on the Lycanthrope, it gives him 15% damage and 15% attack speed to him and his wolves. Yes, any units under his control. So this scales up to 30% damage increase and 30% attack speed increase. So there you're getting just a ton of damage out of yourself and your units. So you can bring him down a little bit earlier and a little bit faster. Syllabear takes him a little bit longer, but this is still a solo Roshan at a much earlier level. So no, it's not like Ursa fast, but it's still something that if you're playing against these heroes, you need to keep in mind. And if you have this hero on your team, you need to be like, okay, let's get this early Roshan. Let's get this advantage because it's something that is available to us.
Did you mention him with a Necro?
Yes.
Did you mention that with his Feral Impulse?
I did say it was units under his control
Okay.
instead of just saying it's...
Yeah.
But if that point didn't get across, yes, if you get Necronomicon, or I guess Helm of the Dominator too.
Mm-hmm. Which
yeah,
actually
any
I could
units
see
under
him
your
getting
control.
Totally.
That's interesting. Although, well, I guess we'll get into it later. I think I would rather see Vlad's.
Well, we will get into that later, so let's not do
We
that
will
now.
get into that.
So yeah, obviously
No, we will.
we don't need to talk about it too much. It's very self-explanatory. Damage and attack speed, very very strong. And then going into Beast, I've gotten to do both Beast modes. How awesome is that? This one's called Shapeshift, and so it's 100 mana cost. It starts at 100-second cooldown. It goes down to 40, so really short cooldown because it lasts 18 seconds. Once again, puts me on the train of thought of similar to like a Broodmother ult at last rank. Who's the other one that gets steroids as their ultimate? There's another hero that has like a really short cooldown, and like it's almost the same thing. Maybe similar
Ursa.
to Night Stalker.
No, not at all. It's Ursa.
Okay, let's just say Ursa, because I don't care. The point is, his
I'll prove
duration
it
is
to you.
half his cooldown at level 3, so that's really short and that's really sweet. The The effects, he gains 100 bonus hit points up to 300, and he also gains the ability Critical Strike, if you've heard of that before. um, which is his in particular is 30% chance to do 1.7 times his normal damage. And then, of course, the most important, well, not most important, but one of the most important part. Oh, he also gains increased attack speed, sorry. And then, that's what it says. But it doesn't say how much. So, let's just say it does. Oh, wait, here we go. Well, on the state, Lycanthrope has a base attack time of 1.5 seconds and a 1800 sight range. Oh, so he gains more sight range, too, which I actually didn't even know. So I'm glad to read that. Also, the final thing that's important is that him and his wolves gain max movement speed during the duration, which is why he is such a nuisance.
Yes, cannot be slowed either.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which is important. I mean, you can still be stunned, so I think BKB is a really attractive item on Lycanthrope. By the way, he's a strength hero. I think we forgot to mention that. And in case we forgot to mention that Syllabear is an agility hero.
No, we said
he is.
that, I think.
Okay, well,
let's just say we did.
Lycanthrope's a strength hero.
What are they going to do? Rewind and check it?
Yes. The sight range on Lycanthrope is 1800 during the day, but this is essentially kind of like Night Stalker-y sort of thing, exactly, where you're getting nighttime vision for your ultimate there. I was just handed a note card by the children that we kidnap and make do our research. Yes, the Ursa Warrior, his ultimate has a 25-second cooldown and a 15-second duration. I'm right, you're wrong, get wrecked.
Oh.
Yeah, it's okay.
Sad
it's okay. Yeah. I think as a strength hero too, this is nice because the ultimate, because you have that max move speed, the items that allow you to kind of hold people in place, chase them down, the items like Abyssal Blade, once you get really fat and happy, and Sage and Yasha are really attractive because you can do the maim or the bash, and this is going to make them targets for your wolves as well, allow them to keep up their attacks and get as many in as they possibly can, which is really nice. And of course, Lycanthrope's kind of a Naix of sorts, one of these strength heroes that has the potential to be a carry in the later parts of the game, and of course, just being a strength hero, you're also going to be naturally a little bit tankier because you're getting all the strength.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there is a lot of ways. Well, we'll kind of go into that in a little bit. But ultimately,
oh wait, no, Sage and Yasha, I take it back. Get Heaven's Halberd. I changed my mind because you get the max move speed with your ultimate, and you can use it so often. Get Heaven's Halberd. Which is nice, because you don't see Heaven's Halberd that often. So just get it.
Sure, the Yasha really isn't going to do as much for you as...
I mean, it's nice, but...
I mean, really, it's just giving you the 10% attack speed. That's because, like you said, the movement speed isn't as helpful in the later part of the game. So, you know what? I would agree with that. Thank you for that item introduction.
There you go.
More important... No, stop it. I'm not going into items. Let me finish my... God.
Oh.
But yeah, I was saying before we even got into this hero, before we got into either of them, that I wanted to compare him to Night Stalker when he gets his ultimate. Because when he gains that, he gets the max movement speed and that extra crit and everything. So essentially, it's almost like Night Stalker at nighttime. Like, when he comes up in that duration, he is going to stick on someone and wreck them. And they can't slow him. They can only stun him. That's the really only way to slow him down is to just keep him there with a stun or immobilization or whatever. So... he's critting too, in addition to attacking faster and all that. And like I said, his wolves also move at that max movement speed now. So throw all that together, and someone is going to get hunted and most likely killed unless they have a lot of support coming their way. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I think he's really awesome for ganking, like I was saying. And then otherwise, when that ultimate's down, you don't see him for a while because without that ultimate, he really isn't that scary of a force. Like, you can just kite him around. You can, just as similar to Ursa, that sense. You're like, whatever. You're just a high damage hero that doesn't even touch us. Well, it doesn't matter. But when he uses that ultimate, yeah, you gotta be afraid.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's another reason why BKB is a really good item pickup on him, because you don't want to be stunned during this duration. You want to be able to try and get a kill. When you're using this ultimate, when you're going to stop jungling to come out and try and take somebody down. I think for skill builds, you obviously want to max the wolves, and I would go for the Feral Impulse, actually, unless you really were trying to go for some global presence. Like maybe if you had a hero like Prophet on your team who is like, yeah, I'm going to be trying to gank a lot early on, so get ready, just try and get one rank of that or something so that you can pop it to just help the heroes around the map as well. Because the wolves are a little mana intensive or very early on to try and keep them up, but if you can help your team out with getting kills, it's always nice, of
And that's why I
course.
like Ring of Basilius on this hero, because he is mana
Hmm.
intensive compared to Syllabear. And, that Vladimir's, he's always going to be a melee hero. So him and his wolves are always going to benefit from that damage and lifesteal aura. So I think, yeah, throughout the game, that's going to be a very effective item on him, and that's why I bet that is his recommended start, isn't it? Ring of Basilius.
I'm not sure,
I
actually.
would think so,
Um,
but
I feel like that's what I get.
even
Yeah.
though I'd still recommend it, even if it's not, because then Valve's just a bunch of liars, and they need to reconsider their
Yeah.
priorities.
I have to go back to Lone Druid again. I wanted to mention that if you go, I know it's terrible. If you don't go back and forth between the bear and synergy, like we're suggesting you do for Lycanthrope, if you get the one rank of Rabid, you can just that's like you can get the Ring of Basilius, and it makes a little bit more sense. You can keep the Rabid up almost all the time whenever it comes off cooldown. So something to keep in mind. And then if you wanted to take that as far as a Vlad's, if you're really focused on the beast mode, you can take advantage of it that way. That's it.
Can you hear that?
What?
It's the Everglades.
What?
The Everglades.
What is wrong with you? What? Anyway, back.
I had to reference it at some
Looking
point in
through.
this cast. Come on.
Thank
I
you.
led myself for that.
Anyhow, what items would you, or what kind of item build would you wind up going
I
on
on
this
Lycanthrope.
fellow?
I thought you were
Mm-hmm.
going to talk Goblin Techleys. Goblin Techleys. However you heard that hero.
Techleys.
They're
He's new.
technically tech. Okay.
You're good.
So
You're done.
Lycanthrope, I already said I'm a big fan of Vladimir's. I would probably get that Ring of Basilius right off the bat, and especially if I was in the jungle. And then I don't know necessarily. Not necessarily. I wouldn't rush Vladimir's. It really would depend. Boots is another tricky thing with him because on one hand it does help speed up your jungling. It helps if you want to just move around the map in general faster because otherwise you're kind of slow. Um, but then again, when you get that ultimate, you're ganking. You're at max move speed, so it can be hard to justify getting them early. Similar with like Weaver in that sense, who a lot of times doesn't get boots because of his Shapoopy. That gives him max move speed during that duration. So he's like, why would I even bother? I mean, it's a lot different because Shapoopy is a very short cooldown, whereas his ultimate's a very long, 100-second cooldown at rank 1. But still, I don't know. I might or might not rush boots depending on the game. I think it's another hero that Hand of Midas, if you're jungling, could be seen as really good because he has that critical strike. And obviously, the more times you attack, the more times you have a chance to proc that. So, and then also you're talking about. I know you want to talk, but I'm holding you still. You're talking about Heaven's Halberd with the bashing chance. Another thing that attack speed's going to help out with.
Yeah, well, it's not the bash, so to speak, for Heaven's Halberd.
Oh, I'm
Were you referring to
sorry.
Abyssal Blade or Heaven's Halberd?
The bash one.
You're the best around. It's okay.
I
I'm used to
told
carrying you,
I'd
Jay.
be rusty.
I'm used to carrying you. It's all right. Abyssal Blade. That's what you're thinking
That's the
of.
one I was thinking of.
Great.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
That's what. Yep.
There's a lot of potential on this hero too if you go for items like Abyssal Blade and Heaven's Halberd to lock down an enemy carry, because you can stop them from attacking with the Heaven's Halberd, and then you can stun with the Abyssal Blade, which is really nice. And of course, with the Abyssal Blade, you're getting the definite stun. So if your ulties pops or your wolves are nearby, that's just 2 seconds. You just get to beat the crap out of somebody, which is really nice. I would personally rush the Vladimir's Offering because it's damage for your little gaggle. I'm gonna go with gaggle. It's the best word for
Wouldn't
group.
pack
There is.
make the most sense for this guy?
Mm-mm.
Like a
No.
pack of wolves?
I mean, no.
Is he like the
Because-
goose, the mad goose that's just causing
Yeah.
rampage?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
I'm glad you noticed.
That's great.
The Mad Goose
They
Man.
should give a goose skin when the skins come out for
Just for us.
and then howls or like quack or something.
That would be sick. Oh my gosh, I'd play this hero
You're welcome,
nonstop.
Valve. You're welcome.
You can have that one. We'll let you have that one. But yeah, so the disarm anyway on Heaven's Halberg, 3 second stop of attacks. The disarm, fantastic. But yeah, I'd get the Vladimir's offering, kind of similar to Ursa. You wait a couple levels after the Vladimir's, and then you can do Roshan pretty easily. You can't do it as soon as you get it, but it is an option for you. And because you can resummon the wolves too, you can basically go in, have one of your wolves get really low, have your other wolf get really low. You can take some damage, then resummon your wolves, have the wolves tank again, and so they're up doing damage that whole time, allowing you to be able to take him down. But yeah, I think I would probably wind up doing Vlad's into Power Treads into BKB.
Yeah, BKB I think is the first big item you have to go for 95% of the time, obviously depending on their team. But like you said, the only thing that can stop you is stuns or those entangles, because obviously slows don't affect him in his ultimate. So then if you get BKB, Beastmaster and Enigma are the only ones that are going to really stop you in that case. And yeah, I mean, it's just obviously really important for him to be able to not be CC during, because it's only a 12-second or 18. God, it's right next to me. 18-second duration. I just need to turn my head 45 degrees. Okay.
Next little sword. I don't want to check this fact.
Yeah, I know, right? Why would I fact check? Remember we said we don't fact check until we're talking about it, and that's how it works here at HQ. Yeah, but it's 18 seconds. So if you're stunned for even like a third of that, that's a big deal. And then when you come out of your ultimate, like I said, you're just going to get carried around. You're not going to be nearly as effective as you were during that ultimate. So you've got to really make the most use out of that time. So BKB shizzle.
So we've mentioned how Silbear is really good at pushing. We're talking about Vladimir's offering, and just, of course, that provides the aura to creeps around you as well. So that's also very useful for pushing. Your wolves don't do extra damage to towers, but because they're passively getting so much damage because of your abilities and then whatever auras you're picking up, they do a ton of damage to towers. And also, when you get to the later points in the game, you can do a sort of Prophet-esque thing where you can just run up to the tower, beat the crap out of it. When they come and try and stop you, pop your ultimate and GTFO. And if you have the Black King bar, you can just pop that as well, and they're not going to be able to stop you from getting away. So that's something else. He's a really strong pusher. Both these heroes are. And like you were kind of alluding to earlier, I think both of these heroes have potential to show up in the professional scene.
I think Syllabear more, just because of his moves are literally, there's moves that are targeting buildings, like they're good against buildings, as well as him being just a tanky carry. Whereas Lycanthrope, I mean, you can build him tanky, but he's not just naturally beastie, and his pets are definitely squishier than Syllabear's pet. So I think compare both to each other, I think I would see Syllabear a lot more common. But there's always that chance, right? There's always that slimmer chance that we'll see them. Who knows? What was I going to say? Oh, I really think actually, the more I thought about it, I think I'd really like to see Helm Dominator on him, and just because his ultimate gives that. Wait, doesn't that affect all his? Am I wrong?
The ultimate? What are you talking about, kiddo?
Yeah, it's his units. Speed? It's not just his wolves. So whatever one he steals from the jungle is also max move speed. So he could either get one that has a crazy attack speed aura, or he can get one that has the net pet.
No. What you do is you get the wolf.
Just crit?
No, the damage aura.
Oh.
You get the wolf. You mind control the wolf. And then you got your gaggle.
One of them gives crit. Oh, no. That's when you're... Whoops.
No, he has crit, but
that's right. I was thinking Doombringer. Like, eating him. And you gain crit. I'm like, why would you get more crit? That doesn't make sense. But yeah, no, actually, the damage aura would be pretty sweet. I think the net one would be pretty cool, too.
That is a good idea.
But I'd like to see that. And you never do. You really don't. You usually see, if they're going to get pets, you see Vlad's, or you'll see the Necro. That's like the only thing they'll build that gives like more pets. But all his abilities affect all his units, which people don't take real advantage of. So, yeah, I definitely actually could see something like that. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, and I mean, while I see, I don't know if I would really say that one might be more popular pickup than the other. In part because that howl is just such a good ability. Just here's 250 damage to heroes, and then whatever 5 times 16 is. If let's say
Really,
you
dude?
have that many, I guess let's do what 3. 3 is probably a good number. All right, I still can't do 3 times 16. 48, right?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, so
Oh
good.
my god.
So that's about 300 damage you're adding to your team for team fights and whatnot. So he kind of has the ability to synergize with the team better, even though he himself might not be as crazy
True.
a champion as Silver is. I don't know. I don't know which one I'd rather have, to be honest.
Well, I do.
Oh, which one?
I'd
Silver?
rather have Silly Bear because he's a silly bear.
Well, yeah.
There's really
I mean,
no
he's
other
the
reason
bear.
than that.
Yeah.
No, we are not from Chicago, believe it or not.
Bear. I wanted to work that in a lot more, but unfortunately it didn't happen.
It's okay, we're not from
Thank
Chicago, and the Bears suck. So it's just
And
like a win-win.
ooh,
Oh,
yeah.
called out. Called out.
Anyway, just to revisit it one more time, because it's a point I want to make, because it was something that I had such a problem with when people would play heroes like Silbear and the Lycanthrope, is the people that like sit in the jungle and then don't do anything. When you get these heroes that are so simple, you can just play them simply, which is stupid, because you would be playing a complicated hero otherwise, right? So you might as well try and make the most out of these quote unquote simple heroes. So take advantage of the fact that you can use these wolves as scouts, and take advantage of the fact
Right.
that you can run your bear in to scout and then return him to you, and use him to slow and hold items for you. And even when you think about other heroes as well, like Sniper, like I used to not like really Lothars on anybody, but now I'm thinking about it, it's like you don't have anything else to do. You might as well get Lothars, give you an escape mechanism, give you the extra crit. And I was trying to think if there are any other heroes that are really kind of not, I don't want to say two-dimensional, but are rather simple in their kits, so that you can take advantage of on-use items. Can you think of any off the top of your head?
Besides Ursa.
Yeah, I guess Ursa.
But no one sees him. He's kind of a figure of
He
the
pokes
past
in
or
and out.
something. The
He's
poor guy.
in there.
I mean, for good reason probably. But
Oh,
they're simple. I don't know what you consider complicated. Anti-Mage is pretty simple in my mind,
that's
but
true.
he doesn't need those kind of
On-use
items
items.
because
Yeah.
of the way he works out. But yeah, I think all he does is blink. That's
Yeah.
his main function. So
All right.
yeah,
Well, when playing these three
there
heroes,
you
just
go.
always keep in mind that you can really add a lot of nuance to them and really take them to a level that people aren't used to seeing them at.
Yeah,
I think that might be just about
I
it,
think
buddy.
we really do need to wrap this up.
It only took like 5 hours, but we finished up our nice little episode 18. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, we're sorry it took us time in between to mental health and women. But we will be here next week, and we're going to be talking about Shadow Demon. Unless somebody like crazy awesome. No, we'll talk about Shadow Demon. Don't worry.
We will.
Yeah, we have to. He's coming. Don't worry, it's coming, guys. We will talk to you guys next week. Like we said, please check us out on Facebook, on YouTube, on our email. Please send us email and talk to us so we feel important. And tune in with us next week. Talk to you guys later.
Subscribe too. All right.
Oh no, yeah, do that.
All right.